Hello, minasan. This is Yuki, and today's episode I'm going to give you some anime which are talking about science, scientific discoveries, and also scientific theories. And in case you are wondering which kind of anime are actually talking about this really serious topic, today is your day to discover them. Another note that I forgot to mention in my previous episodes is that usually I put the names of the shows I recommend in the description section, so sometimes you might be in a hurry or you might have been wondering what I have said during one of my semi-long videos, and the easiest way to track them is just to go to the description of each video, and then you can get guided directly to the name of the anime you want to remember, or maybe just click on it and then you get the full description that I'm putting through it. I'm trying my best during my episodes to do spoiler-free recommendations. Sometimes I give my opinions, sometimes I add some extra information in order to motivate you to watch it. However, as I said, everything I give out beside the basic description is usually my subjective opinion, and I hope that you take it with a grain of salt because you might have different perspective on it. Now let's start. As you might have guessed, the first anime that I will speak about today is Dr. Stone. And Dr. Stone was released in 2019. It had 3 seasons, each one is 24 episodes. First season is called Dr. Stone, and we have then Dr. Stone Stone Wars, and then we have Ryusei movie, and then the New World season, which has 2 parts in it. And the story revolves around our protagonist Senku, who's a genius scientist, high schooler, who's so much into scientific discoveries and has huge craving for knowledge, who was raised by his foster father, who's an astronaut. And on the day, anyway, so Senku and his best friend Taiju, and especially on the day where Taiju decided to confess to his 5 years crush, claiming to be false humanity, and everyone gets turned into stone. However, when people get turned stone, they don't die immediately. They just stop aging and stop moving, and they cannot do anything. But doesn't mean they're dead. They just fall into deep slumber because they are not able to move around. However, Senku, he decided with the moment he got frozen that he's not gonna lose consciousness no matter what happens, because he feels like if he loses consciousness, then it's all over for him and for the humanity. And he stays awake during the whole 3,700 years. He's just doing some mental counting, and then he tries to stay awake until the day that he gets revived again. And indeed, after 3,700 years, his stones start breaking down, and then he can move his body again, and then he realizes that the face of Earth had completely changed. Japan is no longer Japan, and it's all surrounded by really these trees and plants growing everywhere. There is no longer any kind of civilizations according to our modern standards. And so the story evolves from there, with Senku realizing the secret to reviving people, and he decides to build the kingdom of science because he has this immense knowledge about technology, about how machinery works, about how food is processed and stuff like that. So he decides to teach people this kind of knowledge and to use really basic devices and things in order to build up humanity and civilization and, let's say, scientific discovery over again from scratch in the village that has been established a few hundred years ago, which believes in the power of science and the power of the kingdom of the science, and decide to support Senku in his journey. However, on the other side of the story, there are of course antagonists, there are villains, there are people who think that rebuilding humanity all over again to become the same way it was is the wrong way to go about things from now on. Such as the other character Tsukasa, who believes that only young people should stay alive or should be revived, that it should be based on the survival of the fittest, and elderly, the disabled, sick people, scientists, world leaders, politicians, all should die because, when they say die, their stone bodies should be destroyed, because if we bring things to the way they are according to them, then we bring back the inequalities and the injustice and wars and the old ways of thinking, which again brings us to a defective type of Earth, with all the problems that we used to go through in our modern day, the 21st century. So there are two different ideologies here. Senku believes that everyone should be allowed to live, that all humanity and everyone has a place in this world, and knowledge should be shared and restored. Dr. Stone has really a lot of comedy in it. They spend a lot of episodes in the first season doing these small discoveries, but then the pace starts getting faster. Another take I would have on Dr. Stone is that it's not merely a story about a boy who's so smart, but it's also about a grieving guy who lost his father and who's trying to carry on the legacy of his father by sharing and discovering the knowledge over and over again. And the reason why I reached this conclusion is basically because Senku tried to look for his father in the beginning. He wanted to believe that he stayed alive because he was in space when this calamity happened. The ending lyrics were so sad. Almost every single ending lyrics are so sad for me. Like, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know. I mean, I sort of feel for him. What do you think about them? Second, I would like to break on the serious vibes of these videos by mentioning scientists fell in love, so I tried to prove it. This anime was released in 2020. It has 2 seasons, each one of them is 12 episodes each. And our story is revolving around Ayame Himuro, who declares that she's in love with Shinya Yukimura, her fellow logical and level-headed scientist. And due to his lack of experience romance, Yukimura questions what factors actually constitute love in the first place, and whether he's in love with Himuro or not. So both of them began a journey to conduct detailed experiments on one another and to test the human characteristics that indicate love and discern whether they demonstrate these traits toward each other or no. And of course, when we talk about experiments, it doesn't mean that they will just test on each other only, but again, they will be involving all their lab colleagues with them and even their supervisors, including the guy who's in love with the 2D waifu character, and the loli girl, and another one who looks normal, but believe me, she's not that normal, and the gym bro, who's their supervisor. Fun, like the number of crazy situations they get into in order to prove themselves. Like, I really understand so much their colleague when she's like, guys, let's just get married and get off my back. Why are you doing this to me? So, also they mentioned like really interesting theories. I think that most of them have scientific basis, like true scientific basis, not just fictional scientific. So the main reason why you would appreciate this show is because of the comedy in it, the romance, and mostly the comedy. It's not like too much about the romance, but especially about how complex the theories and the factors and how they calculate them. I think I really enjoyed this part. And the drawing, I think, of the anime and the animation itself, I feel like it's not made only for shoujo. It feels more like josei type of anime, if you understand what I mean. Like the extent to which they go in order to prove certain factors which you might be thinking like cannot be calculated to that level of detail is sometimes just ridiculous. Again, you must have really seen this anime somewhere while you're scrolling through. It's called Hataraku Saibou, or Cells at Work. It basically has 2 seasons and 13 episodes each, and I think they have a 3rd season where they changed a bit the main characters, where actually the white cell is the female cell and the red cell is actually the guy cell, which is kind of funny because you start shipping your own body cells, like the red blood cells and the white cells, which are supposed to protect your your insides or whatever. I cannot. I'm a shipper usually, so I would definitely go into that when I see the ship floating. And you will be learning about how your body composition is working toward eliminating foreign bacteria, seeking to make the body their new layer. Like, you will see little palettes, which are like little cute girls from elementary school who are lining up for a new construction projects. in order to protect you from outside bacteria or other dangers. How they are dealing with wounds and allergies, getting lost on the way to your lungs. The daily life of cells always hectic, and they work together to keep your body healthy. I think long ago when I was a child I watched a similar anime, but that one, I think the shapes were kind of more basic than this one, and so I remember it but not so much. But this one, since they give them personality, they give them certain look, they give them like, you see this red cell acting so clumsy and always getting saved by the white cell, and whenever he sees her he knows she's lost and she needs guidance. I found that really funny, and at the same time, of course, you get the educational part, you learn more details about how your body is working. So I think that that's their goal basically. It's like to humanize the cells and make the learning outcome more easy to grasp. And I hope that you enjoy it too. Also, there are some videos on YouTube, if you saw them, where they bring in real doctors and they show them certain parts of cells at work, and they ask them if these facts here are real facts or based on real scientific aspects, and most of the time they just confirm them. So yeah, if you are into learning further about body functions, and again to get a bit of humor, a little bit of light type of indirect romance, then this is your show. I'm not going to be speaking about science anime without going through the Steingate phase at all. As you might have already guessed, I have been watching anime now for almost more than 24 years, 25 years. So I definitely know Steingate. I have been there. I watched the 2011 Steingate show, and it has 2 seasons. It has Steingate, Steingate Zero. I didn't watch it, Steingate Zero. Please don't shame me over it. But I'm planning to, because I feel like once I finish Steingate Zero, there's nothing left out of the Steingate lore that I'm gonna experience again. So I feel bad finishing it. And Steingate also has the visual novel, so in case you are like, okay, I want to go through the choices and I want to go through the ending by myself, then you go ahead and buy the visual novel. So our story is centered around our anicentric scientist called Rintaro Okabe, who has a deep curiosity for science exploration, together with his ditzy friend Mayuri, Shina, and you must have already seen this everywhere. Mayuri desu. Okabe hopes to create mind-blowing technological innovation, but the only noticeable gadget he had created so far is a microwave that turned banana into green slime shape. Yeah, unfortunately. However, when Okabe attends a conference on time travel, he experiences a series of strange events that lead him to believe that there is more to the phone microwave, and apparently he managed to send text messages into the past using the microwave, attracting a near attention of a criminal organization called Siren. Okabe starts working toward mitigating the damage his invention has caused to the timeline, while fighting not only to save his friends, but also to preserve his falling sanity. Because Steingate is so good, for many reasons. The animation of the light of the episode is so fitting for the story, the characters are well balanced, every character is well written, and also everything that the main character Okabe and he did makes sense in his own way. It's not like some random shonen-y type of character that is doing things for fun, oh, for my friend with the power friendship thing. No, it actually makes sense because Mayuri has been his childhood friend for a long time, and others have been his co-workers and his support and his basic social network. He cannot just give them up for any reason. I'm not gonna tell you further about it, but I hope you watch Steingate and Steingate Zero, and maybe if you have the time, play it also, the visual novel game. And now I'll move on to my last recommendation. My last recommendation of the day is Toaru Majutsu no Index. It's an old anime that has been released in 2009. It also has a lot of sequels, like maybe Toaru Majutsu no Railgun or something, and there are some others about Misaki, and there are many things. I'm not gonna get you in the details. It's a bit confusing to watch all the Toaru Majutsu sequels or whatever. Of course, there are some which are part of the main story, some are about some side characters, and some parts also, it's like, I think they are kind of like fillers or maybe related to some franchise. I hear that there are a lot of franchise related to this anime, so just not to confuse you, it's best if you start with the Toaru Majutsu no Index 2009, and then from there you decide where your attention goes to. I love the sequel they made about Accelerator and the small Miseki. I didn't really watch Railgun because it's a lot of cute girls doing cute girl things, and that's not really my thing. But if you are into it, just go ahead. And then, now let's talk about the main story. So what is Toaru Majutsu no Index about? It has 3 seasons, 24 episodes each, and it features science-related powers such as aero shooter, telekinesis, prokinesis, carbon surge, air pressure, gravity sling, accelerator. There are so many. I'm just here giving you some examples. And it's about our main character, Kamijo Toma, who's a high schooler student and has encounter with a girl who's in and out clothes, and she's claiming that she's called Index and has 133,000 grimoires in her head, and she's running away from some magicians who want to erase her memory. So he decides to defend her, except the fact that he has a very limited power where his right hand is capable of dispelling any magical, psychic, or even divine power. And his conflict, which starts with him just defending this girl called Index in non-clothes, evolves to become a conflict between two realms: the realm of magic, led by the most powerful magical organization known as the Roman Catholic Church, and the founder of the Academy City, who is the former magician named Aleister Crowley. Yeah, so what are the main reasons that you might want to watch Toaru Majutsu Index for? I think each person might have their own preference. Personally, I started it, and the reason why I finished Toaru Majutsu no Index 3 seasons because the plot and the cliffhangers keeps you always curious. What's gonna happen next? What's gonna go on? How is this fight going to happen? Are they going to defeat that enemy? Who is the next enemy? Or this power is so complex, or maybe if they combine this power of this person and this person, then it can maybe defeat that particular enemy. So it definitely keeps you on going because of the curiosity element. The battle scenes, honestly, I really love the battle scenes, so I kept watching for the battle scenes. And also, you might be into a particular character. I wasn't into Toma, honestly. I was more into Index. I was so curious about the knowledge that Index had in her mind in the grimoires. And I was so much into Accelerator. There was no other time in my life where I mistook him for any other voice actor, for any other seiyuu in the world. So thank you everyone, hope you have a nice day, nice week, and looking forward to hearing from you which of these anime you have already watched, which of them you really appreciate, and which of them you sort of a bit critical around, and why. Bye bye!